Okay, well, all right. So today, here we are. It's our last meeting, our last Friday morning meeting. But that doesn't mean you're not going to hear from us ever again, because we're your new best friends, and we will be coming back for more. So just today, we're going to do. We have any new members that have joined the group for this last Friday meeting? Hearing none. Okay, great. Well, then let's just go right into the recap of last Friday. We're going to do a quick cursory of the implementation guide and workbook, any Google Sites updates. We did update the ambassador talking points based on all the input last week, and it's out there. And then we have the testing sites, and then just we'll wrap it up today. So recap. We spent a lot of time on building consensus around the ambassador talking points. So the overarching big change you're going to see is we did divide it out by the audience. So if you were an ambassador, this is the talking points you would use for basic institutional capacity building. If you were talking with registrars and faculty members, these are talking points for that. We did adjust the ones that we did go through in depth last week. We spent quite a bit of time on the marketing tools and branding ideas. We've got a lot of great ideas and feedback from all of you last week. So I think we've got some good ground to start beginning preparing those for Stacy and her team and Emily there at the Commission of Higher Ed. We talked about the testing of the tools over these next 3 months before the end of the year for any modifications or edit or any feedback that we would garner from students, from faculty, from registrars. And then we asked for volunteers, and we have 2 institutions, Ivy Tech and Purdue Global, that will be the testing sites for these tools and for us to garner feedback. So let's go right into the implementation guide and tools. Dallas, do you want to take this slide?
Sure. So what I've done is I've updated the implementation. Kelly, I'm going to do a quick share, okay?
Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Okay. And my Teams has changed things on me so that it's much more fun to do sharing. But wow, I can have my face in there and all this stuff. Anyway, here's what's gone on the implementation page. As Don mentioned, we did update a lot of the ambassador talking points, but now on the initial page, the home page, you're going to see the implementation plan that we've initially started with, and there's a new workbook that is in there. You'll be able to click on that link and see what the workbook looks like. It's got some very specific tasks, action steps that can be accomplished. It's not comprehensive in that it includes everything, but I think it's a good document that we can begin with. So it'll work in tandem with the implementation plan and the MCPL framework that we've been looking at. So get out there, take a look at it sometime, and provide feedback. This is your workbook. So if something does not work for your institution, feel free to modify it and improve it in any way, shape, or form that you see will work for you. Okay? And I think that's all I need to talk about on that right now.
Okay, great. Yep. As you notice there on the screen, you can insert your college name and logo and customize it, as you're working. If you do put together a team within your institution to start going through the workbook, so you can customize it to meet your needs. Again, this is very broad. It depends on where your institution is in the implementation phases. Remember, we had phase 1, 2, and 3. So it's really good stuff. All right, I'm going to go back and share. All right, so next we have Google site updates. Just a reminder to everyone, please keep going out to the Google site and be looking for updates, and especially pay attention to the Workgroup members tab. We'll be putting things out there. Any new upcoming professional development events we'll be adding things there. So in the future, Steve St. John will be adding things there for all of you to work from and look at. Also, the ambassador talking points are out there. And so we have all of these tabs, pretty good populated for now, but it'll continue to populate with updates going forward. So this is your new go-to spot up until you get an email blast saying that the Commission of Higher Ed is ready to launch Clearinghouse 2.0, which then would become your new work site. But be mindful, this is not published publicly. This is only for those that have the link and have access to it. So while your policies may be out there, maybe you haven't uploaded your new policies or anything like that, that's fine, because it's only you and your sister institutions around you that can see it. It's not, nobody outside of our community of practice right now can see it. There may be time in the near future we put all of the Indiana institutions on this right before they go public with the Clearinghouse 2.0 site, but we just don't know that yet because we're not there in the project phase timeline. But just be mindful, this is your new workspace for military credit for prior learning. So let's go right to the ambassador talking points. Can you see that screen? Okay. I'm going to open it up now. So when you go in, you click on this here, it'll open up and put you here. Hope I'm doing this right because it's not on my screens. I'm now where Dallas was last week, and Dallas is where I have been all along. So with Teams, but so what we've done is we've reworded a lot of the examples, and I think we made it a lot better. You serve as your institution subject matter, not you will serve. We took the will out. We made it a lot more, added some commas, and with your positive representation, further supporting its growth and expansion. I think that reads better for you, Kelly Circle. And then we broke these talking points down and resorted them by audience. So we have faculty benefits and role, student benefits and military affiliated student benefits, and then the institution benefits. So I think this will work better. We did adjust some of those that you talked about, but take a look at this. You can still provide feedback on this, just like you did prior. So I think, and then I took the last 3 bullets and just made it 1 paragraph because I just thought it read, and that eventually might go away. But just know that more guidance will come out from CHE or from us at the direction of CHE for all of you to benefit. And we still have our 2 charts. So it's still a 3-page briefing. We just adjusted it based on all the feedback we had last week. So I hope you're pleased with it and just continue to provide us feedback. And for the test sites, Purdue and Ivy Tech, when you take this and meet with staff and start introducing the CPL initiative, we would love to be part of that or part of your second meeting, but just as listeners in, evaluating and monitoring and trying to garner feedback so we can make any adjustments necessary. But great work, team, on this. Any other comments or suggestions? Okay, so let me go back to.
You're muted, Dawn.
I was going to say you're muted.
Screen. Okay, so let's go. Thank you so much, Laura and Lori. So let's talk about the data points to collect. We condensed it down and reworked these to what we thought might be easily reported when we release this survey. Now, the survey will go out similar like the previous assessment we did in June with all 30-some public and private institutions. So we'll garner more feedback, but from your homework assignment, are these 7 pretty attainable and you think you could collect, within 30 days if you go to your institutional research director's offices and ask for this information, or maybe your military centers are collecting it already. Some of this is student record. We would just want aggregate data. No specific student. This would all be reported like you report to the state as aggregate data, kind of like an iPads. And iPads report where I'm not sure in Indiana. I think you guys all do it through, it escapes me the name. What's Chelsea? No, what's the name of the system? Stacy, what is your IT system statewide?
Sheds.
CHEDS. Thank you, Chelsea. um, the CHEDS system. Any thoughts? Did you guys review these questions prior to today's meeting? Do you think these are attainable data points? From these data points, be mindful and remember, we're going to be able to craft marketing tools and branding tools based on these data points, like do an infograph, a statewide infograph, like a picture snapshot of Indiana total aggregate data, not by individual. We may be able to do some sample individuals and send them out to you for your marketing staff to work on, but for right now, it's a statewide infograph marketing tool. Looking for comments or raised hands if you think these 7 you might be able to attain and report back. Thank you, Allegra.
Yeah, so I think we mentioned this last week, but there are 2 observations I would make on this list is the relationship between number 2 and number 6 in terms of if you're looking for information about students that are enrolling at the time that we're capturing data, we can't also give information about those same students graduating for years.
Right.
So if it's like you want us to look at the same time period, like in this time period, how many military students enrolled, and in this time period, how many military students graduated, I think we can do that as long as we acknowledge that the way that number 6 is worded, the number of this population that completed a degree, I'm just not sure whether you're looking for that longitudinal or like snapshot information.
Yeah, thank you. So the time period we thought would be for 1 year, but that's a good point. We could do a 5-year snapshot, just always knowing number 2 is going to be higher than maybe number 6 because they're not all,
Right,
most of those.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
wouldn't be related. And if
Right.
that's okay that they're not related, I think that's okay. And I think a year is fine. I don't think you need to change it to 5 years. I
Okay.
just wanted to acknowledge that just from my work with our data team, they're very particular about whether you're trying to follow a particular population of students
Yeah.
through. And
Right.
typically when we're getting to the level of providing demographic information about a population, then it kind of indicates that we're trying to kind of track that population and see how it goes,
Mm-hmm.
which number 6 just kind of is separate from that. Or I was like, are you looking for how many, like that they completed a degree with our institution or that they had a degree elsewhere? Or
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Okay.
And to tack on to Kelly's 2 questions. One, the demographics, what demographic data are you looking for? And on certificates and technical certificates, since we do have 4-year degrees, we have graduate programs in at Ivy Tech, we have those certificates that can be completed in a semester or 2. Are we going to break those completions down by credential level?
Yeah. That's a good point. And that would depend on the audience using the infograph. Credentials means a lot to the labor market outside of your industry, but does it mean, how much does it, mean to CHE and to, I think it's more impactful if you do credential level, but include degrees in there. I know we struggled a little bit with this in Missouri, and this is the reason why, is not all the institutions are awarding the credentials. Usually it's an outside third-party source awarding credentials, like a state nursing board or, professional regulation agency and things like that. But those are good. I've included them in here, and this would be something we would work with Stacy and her team after today going forward. This is your infograph, your first infograph that we're going to create. What's the most impactful and meaningful? And then there's the government industry, the executive branch of government, the General Assembly. What are they going to want to see from, the military credit for prior learning program? So we'll get input and guidance from them. But I've added that in here, and we'll expand on that when the survey does come out. And we hope to get this survey out within 10 days or 2 weeks to everybody. So Allegra, your question on degrees elsewhere. You do not collect if they leave Purdue Global and they go to another institution. You don't have a.
No. Yeah, I guess what I was thinking was we have some military students who arrive and who have already graduated from Ivy Tech. We have some military students who arrive who already have a bachelor's degree and they're pursuing a master's degree. So just I don't think that external degrees should be included. I think you would be really interested in what's going on at our institution, but just from a definition perspective, I may have a military student in that population and I know that they earned a degree, but they didn't earn it with us. I might know that. And I don't think that should count, but I'm offering that as something we should refine in our definitions so that
Okay.
we get consistent data from different institutions.
Great. Okay, we can do that.
And this is going to be very particular, but we have a tendency of military students to provide multiple official joint services transcripts. I don't know if that happens for anybody else because it's very fast and easy for them to request it. So I would just, in the data definition that we get for number 4, I would be, I think we need something there about like, I think we want a student count, not a document count, because students often provide multiple joint services transcripts. So if someone's running this report and they think that the objective is to actually quantify the number of transcripts that we're receiving, they might give us duplicate information. So just I don't think we want to double count those.
Right. Great. I think that's right on. And when you get, just a question for my purposes and my knowledge base, when you get duplicate JSTs, you don't spend time on the duplicates because you've already uploaded it, correct?
Well, we have to check it though, because they're sometimes providing an updated record that actually has an additional exhibit on it. So we have to be really careful. A lot of the times they're duplicates where they're requested a couple days apart and the student just was antsy to see it in their record, so they requested another one. But we always check them because sometimes they're not a duplicate. And again, I think that goes into the data definition here. If we're looking for the number of students that we served with a military evaluation, then we would say, yeah, you provided us 5 joint services transcripts, but we helped you student, you're one student. But sometimes those multiple joint services transcripts reflect an update in their training record, and we can add additional credit into their degree.
So I'm going to put my education hat on. When I used to be there, I would want that number. This is how many JSTs. I mean, I'd want both numbers. This is how many JSTs, and this is how many students. So you can see there's more JST than students. However, there's multiple. And it does require resources from your institution because you do have to look at them. And thank you, Ryan. You do encourage students to keep resubmitting those. So, that could be a budgetary impact. I as a administrator of an institution, that's an informed data decision. Do I need more resources here just to stand this program up because of that? Is that making sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think both numbers would certainly provide a more comprehensive picture of what's going on with those transcript evaluations in terms of the number of students who provided one or more JSTs, as well as the total number of JSTs received.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and since you're adding notes on your screen there for data points, for demographics, we would need to know which demographic data you need.
Okay.
Age, race, gender, whatever.
Yep. Okay. All right. Okay, this is all really good feedback. Any other data points that are not on here that you thought, well, this might be good? And this is easy because we track it and we look at it. You as practitioners of this program.
Actually, I do have one more.
Okay.
On 7, you've got certifying officials report data. They're going to have data on what they've reported to the VA for benefits, but that may or may not include tuition assistance. They may not include state aid for National Guard grant or CVL. So we need to define which benefits you want that head count for.
Okay.
And do you want it broken down to that level or not?
And Laura, this is where you guys could really help us identify all those different pockets, because state TA being a guard issue, if they get scholarships from other areas, maybe we need to have a category that is just other scholarships that are not maybe a recurring scholarship, but something we need to consider now.
Well, and some schools have veteran-specific scholarships within their foundations and whatnot as well.
Right. Right. Or they do veteran waivers. I've noticed that in other sites that, we have an institution policy here that we could waive, something like that. Okay. Yeah, we'll need more definition there. Perfect. All right. This is all really good information. Anything else before we go on?
Dawn, I've got just one more, and I
Okay.
don't know how to, this is not an extra data point. This is just a
Okay.
consideration. It is possible that in doing this reporting, we could potentially have overlap between institutions with a student who has transferred during the time that we are capturing the data.
Okay.
And I don't think that's a worry or a problem, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. So if a student completed their Ivy Tech associate's degree and then they transferred to Purdue Global, we would potentially both be counting a military
Right.
student, just depending on how we put the guardrails on the data. I don't think that would be concerning, but I just want to raise to your attention the frequency of student mobility in that military student population is something that could maybe just be a footnote somewhere sometime that that students, potentially could appear more than once. Or we could try to put something in place in terms of controlling the data by that enrollment date, which is less likely to result in an overlap because it's unlikely that they would enroll in both institutions during the same academic year.
Okay.
But they could if they were close
Yeah.
to their associate's degree.
Right. You're right. And that's a common that we have every time we look at target student populations, it's a common theme because our students are global and they are, there are a group of them that are enrolled in one or more institutions. So that's good. Okay. I've got that noted here. Anything else? Okay, let's move on to the volunteer institutions, and thank you. Purdue Global and Ivy Tech. So we will be getting back with you in 2 weeks we'll do one-on-one meetings with you to talk about a timeline and when you can start rolling some of these out and how to do that. And then we're going to be looking at you for contact names and phone numbers that people that we can, after the meeting, we can do some, one-on-one phone interviews with and just go through a series of questions. And those phone interviews probably will not start happening till November. In December, because it's critical that they have time to look at this and think about it, maybe utilize it, use the tools, and then come back. So but we'll set all that up individually with both of you, and then the rest of you will be hearing back. We'll do a quick little briefing on what we discovered and found and what we felt needed to be modified in the tools, what tools are missing. Because we will ask them, is there something else that we could be providing for you that we didn't in these tools? So, all right, guys, this is where we're at. We've completed this. So next we go to task 3, which we will roll out the implementation guide and workbook. That'll be coming in a formal communication from CHE. We've got some internal meetings we're going to have with them to walk through things before we have them push this out. So be looking for that. And then we will be hosting some webinars around it for everybody across the state. And then we'll be refining and testing the tools. After that, then we go into testing and feedback, which is late November, December. And this is where the 2 pilot sites will be working with us closely. So you'll be hearing back from that. Program resources. This was new. This just came out this week. Kale's got October 3rd next week as a part 2 on Dante's, their webinar that's coming out. So if any of you have not seen that yet, I know a few of us have registered for it, so it's new. We'll get that out there on the Google site, but continue to go to the Google site to look for updates like this while we're still engaged. As they come into our offices, we'll be pushing them out to your offices via that Google site. This is good. So I hope this is good for you, Stacy and Dallas, but we are at the end. I think we've covered all the topics and some extra topics for these last 2 months. For the community of practice right now, your work is done. It doesn't mean we're not going to regroup in the future, but we greatly, greatly appreciate, everybody's input. I know this was a bit of a quick, heavy lift every Friday morning and then all the homework assignments, but we have garnered so much great feedback from all of you and information. I think it's going to really make it a wonderful, robust program. Anything, Steve and Stacy, you would like to add for the community of practice? This is the only time I'm going to ask you to come off mute, Stacy.
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a challenge. I'm in the airport. I would just say that, yes, thank you. This is just the beginning, and we will be putting out more communication next week. And Steve, I don't know if you want to say anything regarding the Collegiate Purple Star and how this ties in with the next items.
Well, Dawn's already listed it, but we've got Dallas as our next CPSI Lunch and Learn in October. So on the 16th. So hopefully you can visit and watch him present. And we also, if you would like to be part of the roundtable on November 20th and just talk about anything military specific as resources that you want to share with the rest of the state, email me and we'll get you on the roundtable.
Great. Okay, everyone. Well, there is no more. This is our last Friday morning, so you get your Friday mornings back. Yay! We greatly appreciate all of you. And guess what? We are a half an hour early. I'm going to give you a half an hour back to your day, your Friday. Good luck, Dallas and Stacy, in your travels. Be safe, everybody. We greatly, greatly appreciate you.